few things in together. And if you would like, this is a brochure of my nonprofit. I want to start out by asking you a question. Do you know the difference between advocacy and being an activist? Does anyone know the difference between the two? Being an advocate and being an activist.
The advocate is the person who. No, I don't know.
Activist is like actually helping out, and like advocacy would be just like I support that.
Kind of, sort of, basically, because an advocate will bring information on things and share it with you. An activist is someone that has been personally affected by what they're advocating for. If you've been in situations and you realize the need for something, you have a passion for what you're doing. If you don't have a passion for what you're doing, you're just doing it to get a paycheck for the most part. You can care less really about it once 5 o'clock comes because you turn it off and you go home. Well, with this, it's a passion for me. So many things tie in together and everything relates to numbers. Either the numbers are advocating in favor of something or they're speaking against it. When you begin to look at the issue concerning the health unit, one of the main things that the nonprofit that I represent wanted to do was to raise awareness. You know, how effective you raise awareness determines the outcome of your project. One of the things that we initially did to show that it is possible is the fact that there was a cemetery. Maybe some of you all have rode past it. It's on Hollywood Park area. There's 2 cemeteries there, one across the street from each other. One of them is very well maintained, and the other one is overgrown. We went in and began to clean up the one that's overgrown, and it created a buzz. The newspaper come and they recorded us cleaning it up. But what it also did was it made the people who own that cemetery realize that they was not fulfilling their obligation to clean it. And now when you ride past there, they're both equally manicured. They both look well. That was a positive that allowed us to know that advocacy works, you know, for what you are concerned about. Now, you bring that forward to today, we're talking about the health unit. And you'll hear this term on the news, and when you hear it now, hopefully you'll remember me. Raising awareness. For every cause and concern, it's in commercials, especially when you talk about health. It's about raising awareness. What raising awareness means is that where you were otherwise unconscious of things that you just walked about, not really caring about it, when you begin to understand how it affects your life, because everything in some way or another do affect your life. Some more has a more direct impact than others. But for those things that do, it would behoove you to be able to be educated and to know how it affects you. Because if you don't know that, then prevention, to sit here and talk about the sex education piece and you never get any of that, then 9 times out of 10, you're gonna be a statistic of something. Because you're not educated. You don't know. Our organization has 3 primary goals. And it's a fairly new concept because a lot of people look at me most of the time talking and they not in touch with what I'm even talking about. And I'm talking about them at the same time. Advocacy, education, and awareness are cornerstones. Because for one, advocacy means to draw attention. Some things you gotta draw attention to make people aware of why they need to even be in the fight for it to begin with. Education has to do with providing information or a better understanding, a more in-depth understanding. Like for instance, when we talk about the sexual education piece and the various diseases, that may not sound like very much to you. But if I tell you that Garland County rate is higher than the US rate, now that ought to make you concerned. Because if you just was to play out the numbers, you know, out of every 4 or 5, they are infected. Now, you put yourself in that equation of being at 4. And what's your greater chances of becoming one of those that are infected? And assistance. Assistance has to do with connecting people to the resources. Because if Denise can tell you how important it is to know, and Chris can in turn be able to provide you with those resources as far as condoms or education or whatever that you're gonna need to not be a statistic, then we've pretty much done our job. Everything else is gonna be left upon you all to make good conscious decisions about your health, about your life, and about your future. Because hopefully you all wanna grow up and have kids and you wanna be productive in society and all of that that you're in school for now learning about. To be a productive part of the equation when it comes to overall view of the world. You know, you're supposed to be able to give back something, right? Y'all look at it like that? Because community service, see, I'm an advocate for community service because I know it's important, because everything you don't have to get paid for. Some things you ought to want to do because you understand the greater good of what benefits or who benefits. And if you're okay, you ought to make sure that somebody else is okay too. Shouldn't this always be about how you feel and how you gain? Because some things you may lose for, but if somebody else can gain from it, it's worth it. It's like feeding the homeless. You know, we throw away more than we realize that would benefit other people if we just share it. But you gotta have a mindset to wanna be like that, because if not, you'll just be a taker. There's a bunch of takers in the world. What else would I like to share with you all? I'm a part of 3 groups outside of being a difference maker. I'm involved with translational research with UAMS, where we go in and we actually look at things that have been overlooked and ask the question, why does this exist? Why is these numbers continuing to go up and not go down? There's a reason for that. Most of the time it's because it's being overlooked. And the people who are most affected by it don't even understand why they are affected by it. So it takes people like us to come in and begin to educate them. But before we can do that, we gotta gather statistical data to prove the validity of what we say, because otherwise we would just be talking. But when I can show you the numbers to match what I'm saying, it gives credence to everything that I'm proposing. I'm also a community assessor with human impact assessment, which means that we go into communities and we assess communities and we point out and look for what are particular problems, what are the stressors, what are the things that need to be addressed to make that community whole. Because there are other factors that let us know that it's not whole. When we think about poverty, and we look at it as like something abstract. But then in turn, you talk about things like high crime rate, you know, no jobs, drug use and abuse. Well, all those things are factors of poverty. You can't address one in that. You can't just pick one out and say, well, I want to reduce crime in my neighborhood, but yet you don't provide something else. So it's got to be addressed as a whole. That's one of the things that we're doing now. And also, we are involved with diabetes education, which is something that's more prevalent in the black community than it is in the other sector. But we all know people that are affected by it. Our concern right now is that in 1995, it was 4.9% of diabetes in Arkansas. In 2014, it rose to 11.5. Of the states that's affected by diabetes right now, Arkansas is 11.2. Mississippi is 13.6. Alabama is 12.0. Tennessee is 11.4. So these are high numbers when you look at other states that are less than 10.
Well, the South is, known for making up a lot of food and stuff.
There's a lot of factors, and a lot of it has to do with not being educated on what to eat and what not to eat. Some families know. A lot of it is hereditary. It's passed on from gene to gene, from generation to generation. But all of it, when you have a better education of why it exists, it can prolong your life. And that's the bottom line. Everyone wants a productive life for whatever amount of time that you have here on earth. Isn't that not correct? So through research, through outreach, through prevention, we all hope to achieve those goals. As far as the health unit goes, the county, the city government basically was not going to fund the health unit. Had the health unit closed, now we're talking epidemics. But right now, you're okay sitting by somebody that's coughing. But if you weren't able to get your flu shot, if you had some other things going on, you'd be paranoid about every time somebody come around you sneezing, because you don't want to catch it, because it may turn into more than just a cold. So it's real. It's not a game. It's going to affect people's lives, and you could be a statistic if we all don't become more educated on how to use prevention to our best advantages. So those are the kind of things I do, and I get involved in. I look at numbers, and when they don't look right, I look at how do we go about addressing the concerns to make the numbers be in favor of the people, so that they don't become infected, so they are treated fairly. So that if your house has everything it needs, then the house next door to you ought to have the same things. And our job is to advocate and fight to make sure that that becomes a reality. Anybody got any questions? Yes, sir.
Well, you were talking about diabetes education. How do y'all do that? Do you have people speak, or is it kind of like?
Well, my organization, we're about to be trained to become peer educators. And when we become trained, we will then go throughout the community and connect with churches and look for people who are living with diabetes.